You feel this nervousness on the phone there?
Sir, I've been trying to make an urgent phone call up there.
Well, I don't think it's something I want to do on an overseas phone.
You gotta make some phone calls. Hang up the phone. Prank caller. Prank caller.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Packernet After Dark. This is the call-in show of the Packernet Podcast Network. If you'd like to call in, if you'd like to participate in the show, please feel free to do so. The phone number here is 608-501-0718. New callers go directly to the front of the line. We don't have any new callers today, but we have Nico. What's going on, Nico?
Ryan, how the heck are you?
Good.
Just doing my driving around, doing random things.
Heyo.
So I'm kind of mad right now. Where's Nico, by the way?
What's up, dude?
Frickin' Andy Packernet did one of his little have AI predict next season. And I think he said he tried ChatGPT. It didn't work, so he tried Gronk. I assume he meant Gronkowski.
Croc.
Because that's how dumb the prediction was. But I know it's funny how even the AI made the dumb mistakes that people tend to make.
Yeah.
Because the first game, it had us losing to the Lions, game one, which I don't care what you say. That's the game. That's one of the one of the games I want to win all year. That's most important, especially at the time of year. And of course, who gives up? We give up a touchdown, and it says, due to the loss of Jair Alexander, the Packers secondary is having a hard time. Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, hey, dumb, stupid Gronk. We didn't have him last year. Although we did lose to him twice last year, but it doesn't matter. Our secondary is not going to be worse this year because we don't have him this year. Our secondary is just going to have more money to pay other cornerbacks and stuff. Maybe not this year, but next year. I know, it's kind of dumb. And then it did have us losing to the Philadelphia Queasels because Gronk is stupid, and then we made it to the playoffs and lost to the Beagles in
the
playoffs, and it was just dumb.
Oh, the Eagles? I was thinking you were saying Bengals. I'm like, that's not a thing. Gronk is really struggling, man.
So that kind of ruined my day. Not really, I'm kidding. Actually, to be honest, I just got back from vacation. We have some friends that have like 20 acres in Washington, where it's right under Mount Adams. It's a disgustingly beautiful view.
Okay.
It's like 90 degrees, but it's still covered in snow because of the mountain's like 1,000 feet tall. And but we always hang out there once or twice a year. They got all kinds of quads and other things you can ride that have engines and jump and stuff. It's just real fun. Little pond, little creek going through the. Anyways, we just got back, so I'm back to having to do my daily junk. So I was in a good mood. But anyways, I was gonna say something too. Poof, did I forget? But that's right. So he's got a Traeger, right? Right. And he's got a pizza oven attachment.
Yeah.
And you pull all the dust out of the trailer to where you just got the hot box, and and the bottom of the pizza cooker just goes right on that. Oh, looks like we're getting close, folks. And I tell you what, in 3 seconds.
I don't know really what to say about the AI thing. I mean, obviously, I am a massive AI fan. It's kind of absurd how much time I spend on one or another or some form of AI. But you'll notice I haven't really done a lot of that type of content. No, not saying it's bad for anyone that wants to. But, I think it's interesting because AI sometimes can take, like Grok just came out, and it's a massive intellectual leap. But a lot of times, like for me, when I use Grok, it's really not better. And I'm trying to figure, like, why does it not seem better? And sometimes it seems just significantly worse. And the new Grok 4 that came out is slower, which can be annoying. Because now I'm used to, like, Gemini or something that just pops it out, like, automatically. They're starting to get slower because they're going through these thought process things to make them smarter. But what I realize is it depends on what you're using it for. And all these guys start building in certain directions. There's all these metrics, so they want them to check off these metrics. The problem is, like, a lot of them are, for example, what Grok excels in is PhD level math and science and all these different things. I don't ask it those questions, really. I mean, math, I do. It helped me mathematically with my quarterback thing that we're going to be talking about in 2 days. Tomorrow I'm going to record it for Thursday. But a lot of times the stuff I ask it are not really the things that are being fine-tuned. It's really low-level stuff that like 3 AI iterations ago would have been more than adequate to be able to answer these questions. And as far as it getting better in these kind of low-level areas, it's not super getting better. Like one of the things that kind of, it is getting better. Like the new Grok is a little bit better at it, and Claude and whatnot. They're a little bit better at these things. I use it for like news gathering. It doesn't really, it's a feature, but it doesn't seem to be like a major thing that they're trying to do leaps and bounds in that direction. Like, you know, Grok is going to be coming out with a new coding thing pretty soon, which is good because I went and tested out some of the coding stuff with Grok, even though everyone on social media is talking about how great it is. It's not that good. I mean, Claude is better, and I think Gemini is still better, but they're going to be releasing a coding thing. Why? Because it's specifically designed for coding. So if you want to code, it'll be great. If you don't, then this upgrade doesn't. You see what I'm saying? AI can be really smart depending on what you're asking it to do. Sometimes what we want to use it for is not really what it's been building toward. And yeah, one of the things that is kind of annoying that they are trying to get better, that's where the whole thought process thing comes in, is trying not to miss really basic things. It is getting better at that. It used to be just absurdly stupid. In fact, I think the last time I tried to do a mock draft, none of them could do it. There's been several upgrades since then. I might try to see if it'll do like a 2026 just to see like how much progress it's made. But yeah, it'll miss really simple things. I would ask it to do a mock draft and it would be doing like prospects from 2024 or whatever. You know, it's constantly wanting to put like Caleb Williams in there and stuff. It's like, what are you doing? And it would do it right for about half the mock draft, and then it would get the order of the teams wrong and start going back to 2024 prospects. And it's like, you suck, dude. Even though these things are absolutely brilliant. And if you ask it to do a PhD dissertation on friggin' microbiological cellular dystropoplia, it could do it. You ask it to do a frickin' mock draft that my son can do, and it's like, because it's not as good at getting current information. You know, like one of the problems it always had, I'm probably spending too much time on this, but one of the problems it always had, I'm kind of doing some apologetics for the AI because, I don't know, some people just cannot get into it. And I think it's kind of depends your frame of reference. Some people look at a thing, like I'll post a picture, I've done this numerous times, like from a long time ago when AI wasn't nearly as good at making images. And I'd post something, and to me it's amazing. And to other people it's like, that doesn't even look like the person. So do you understand what this is right now? Do you understand that a robot just generated this? And do you understand big picture what this means for the future? The answer to that question is no. Some people do not think big picture. They don't think that way. They just look at a thing and go, that's stupid. That doesn't look like the thing I want it to look like. Or I can see the difference. Look at his finger is bent the wrong. I don't care. It's like going back to 1684 with a cell phone and somebody's like, I don't know, it's not very good reception. Bro, I'm teleporting your voice across the world. What are you talking? How are you not amazed by this? You freaking, good God. That doesn't even sound like my mom's voice. Okay, well, all right, fine. God. That's fine. Because I'm sitting here upset that I haven't been able to come up with some amazing thing and everyone's going to leave me behind because they're going to come up with amazing things using AI. And then I realize 90% of the world's going, AI is stupid. So I got a long time. I got a heck of a long runway here to work with because so much of the population doesn't realize how revolutionary this thing is that we're entering into. But that's fine. What are we even talking about here? I don't know. I forget. The point is, it does certain things well, it doesn't do certain things well, and I think if I were to do something like that, you would have to give it some guidance. Maybe you just go in cold turkey with one sentence and just be like, yeah, simulate the Packers season. Usually you don't want to just do that, but you could do that. And then it does it, and then you read through it and you find issues with it. All right, so for example, I built a website that is, I'm pretty jacked about it. I'll probably be the only person on planet Earth that ever uses it, but essentially it looks at economic markers. So if you go back and look at like 2016 to 2028 or 2018, it'll show you like these 12 different economic markers and how gives you a snapshot of how good the economy is, how much the economy grew. It gives you a score of how good it did based on. I did that the first time through, and it started doing grades, and I was like, what are you grading this on? And some of the stuff was stupid because some economists are idiots and they look at certain markers that I don't care about. I'm asking you about the economy, not this kind of nonsense. All the social stuff and like, well, some people are sad. I don't care, stupid. So you go in and you're like, look, I want you to be a cold-blooded, psychotic person who only cares about the data and the numbers. All right? Forget about what these idiotic economists talk about. And it's like, all right, yeah, I can do that. There's some people who look at things a certain way, so we'll just use what they use. And I'm like, yep, do that. And it changed it all. You know what I mean? So you go in, you find out what it's doing wrong, and then you say, look, I want you to think about this for a second. And you just tweak it, and then it'll run through again. It's not a big deal. But again, I don't really need help with that, simulating things. And even if it did simulate something, unless I thought AI was actually going to be like a super genius and figure it out, but I would have to also know that the AI is going in and using like advanced analytics and doing something that even Vegas isn't doing. And AI is not doing that yet. So it would just simulate something that's stupid. And then what do I do with that? Read it so that everybody can say AI is stupid? It would be better served to use it as an aid. I'm going to do it. And I'm going to, when I run into a question or I need like a pile of data about something, then I go to AI and I'm like, look, I'm doing this thing, trying to simulate things. What are the best criteria? What do the greatest scientists and mathematicians use to simulate X, Y, and Z? And it will do that. It will tell you. And then you go find that data, and it can help you put that data together, and then you can go through with a very scientific approach to figuring things out, rather than just going to the newest AI and putting in a sentence and saying, simulate the season, and it does it. And for what? What did we just accomplish here? It did something worse than what you could have done. You know what I mean? Is anything I'm saying make sense or have any value? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Nico part 2. I'll shut up.
So you crank the old smoker. You don't have to put pellets.
Forgot about the pizza thing too, but yeah.
It doesn't. I don't know if that would do anything. I mean, I didn't. Still tastes good. You crank it up to about 250, 300, and it gets about 500-600 degrees. And once the ceramic, bottom gets hot,
yeah,
you just make up your pizza, slap it in there, cooks it like less than 5 minutes. You got to spin it once. It's amazing. Kind of makes me want to buy a Traeger now that I have a master built, which is like a cabinet smoker, so I couldn't do that there. But I tell you what, just kind of making pizza in your backyard, it's a little goated. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oop, we're losing you.
It was amazing. We did it last Thanksgiving, and we made pizza the day after Thanksgiving, and what I did is I just took the dough and I put like the turkey gravy on it as the sauce, and I just did all the pizza things. All the Thanksgiving things: the turkey, the mashed potatoes, the other junk. But anything served, I put on there and put a little cheese on it, toasted it. It was probably the best pizza I've ever had in my life.
Nice.
So anyways, I don't know if you've ever seen a smoker with a pizza attachment in it, but
I have seen that. I don't think it was Traeger. They may have just come out with a new. I think it's been a while since I was doing my research into pellet grills and whatnot, but I forget what the other company's called. But they had all kinds of crazy attachments that I thought was super cool, and I was going to buy one, but I didn't. You know what you could look into too, rather than buying a pellet grill just for the attachment. There's a company, and there's probably others out there. There's a company called, I think it's Ooni, Ooni, and it's just a standalone pizza cooker where you can use pellets. I think they also have a propane attachment for some of them. Some of them are propane. Some of them are like the pellet things you put in there. And it's like a little tabletop thing. I don't know if you'd want to use it in your house, but you, I guess, could, especially if you're using propane. I don't know if you want that smoke in there, but certainly outside. You plop that little thing. Should be relatively light, I would assume. And yeah, you just make little pizzas with the Ooni cooker. I absolutely was looking into that for a while. I know Jersey Mike had sent me those doughs, and that was just, I was in heaven making some of the best pizza I've had. And I didn't have something like that. All I really tried to do was simulate that. I had a little stone, like the pizza stone or whatever. And I just got the oven as hot as I could possibly get it so I could heat up the stone to try to simulate the 700,000-800,000 degree temperature to get the really good crust on it. Obviously couldn't actually simulate that, but it was still really good. And it would be cool to get back into making pizzas. And if I ever got hardcore into it, it would be cool to get one of those. But I probably shouldn't eat that much pizza anyways. That's the thing. You buy something like that, now you're committed to eating a lot of pizza. And I don't know that that's a good thing. But yeah, check that out, the Ooni, whatnot.
It's kind of cool. I was going to say something else, and I totally forgot. I'm doing that a lot lately. Can't wait to forget everything in my life, because that would make
It's gonna
my
be
life
awesome.
less stressful. But anyways, yeah, so Gronk is dumb. Packers are not going to lose to the Beagles twice this year. I mean, I'll be honest. If we lose to them in the season and beat them in the playoffs, that's better than the other way around. You know, we play the Niners in the regular season. I could care less. Not stressed at all. But we play them in the playoffs and become a crying little baby peeing in the pants. So anyways, that could be classified.
Sorry about that.
Too much information. Oh, I have a joke for you. Someone told you a joke earlier today.
Okay.
So I have a joke for you.
I don't know what that
I like
means.
to FaceTime my grandkids, girls. They're like 5 and 10 and 2.5. So
Sure.
the little one doesn't have any idea what I'm saying.
Kind of like my
The other
kids'
two
ages.
didn't like it. So I told them this joke. They thought it was hilarious. So it's a knock-knock joke. So
Okay.
follow along. Knock-knock.
Who's there?
I eat mop.
I eat Bop
There
who?
you go. Anyways, go Pack Go. Can't wait for the season. I don't know how many weeks you are until stuff is played. I know preseason's coming. I'm very excited. Blah, blah, blah. If anyone gets hurt, I'm going to just jump off a cliff. Hopefully no one gets hurt, because that would be bad. I probably shouldn't even say that, but I didn't mention any names for that reason, because then I become the reason why that person got hurt, and I'm not going to do that. But have a great day, and go Pack. Go.
I think I just got the joke. I think you said mop. I didn't know what you said. I was like, Bop who? But I'm guessing it was mop, and it's I eat mop poo. I will probably have to tell my kids that, and then do the whole, but don't go telling your friends that. I shouldn't tell them, but I just, how do I not tell them that one? They're going to think that's hilarious. Appreciate that, Nico. All right, let's take a break. Come back, we got TJ from Alabama.
Hey, Ryan, TJ from Alabama.
Yo.
Thinking two things. Thinking thing number one is, not to go too far down the conspiracy theory rat hole,
Let's
but,
do it.
One thing that was impressed upon me that I do agree with is just question everything. And that doesn't mean just question the common narrative, the stuff that the government or whoever is feeding you, or social media, or the, regular networks. Don't just question the normal stuff. Question the oddball stuff as well. So basically question everything and make people bring your receipts. And as you were saying, just don't blindly trust anything.
I agree with that. Here's the one caveat I would put in. Question everything, but don't come to conclusions without evidence. I think without getting into specifics, because there's some certain things that are going on and I don't want to step on any toes. The problem I have with a lot of this stuff is people are coming to conclusions without evidence and just calling it questioning things. You're not questioning if you've already figured out what your conclusion is. It's okay to say, I have questions and I'd like answers to them. But again, that's very different than, I don't trust you, and therefore I'm going to come to a conclusion that I feel like fits my view of you being an untrustworthy person/entity without any evidence. And then I will cherry pick evidence to find things, and even when evidence comes out that is not the way I want it to be, then I will call you a liar, denier, or whatever. That's when we get into just being a conspiracy theorist and not being a questioner, not being a rational thinking human being. That's the caveat that I would put in.
Because obviously with social media, with the algorithms of the internet and the cell phones and all that other crap, anything you look for, you're going to get a whole bunch more of exactly what you look for.
And it is funny how hard it is to not get in a bubble. I mean, all of these things, obviously I spend a lot of time on X. X is very good at that. I mean, if I just start liking a couple things and it's like, okay, you want to see nothing but that now. And, sometimes it's like, yeah, I'm just feasting on it. And sometimes it's like, dude, I'm sorry, I like that. Can you show me anything else? I know TikTok is notoriously good at that. But obviously the problem with that is some people see that and they think, wow, everyone agrees with me, or this is just what the world thinks. And it's like, no, it could be like a very small segment of the population. It's just that it just keeps getting pushed in front of your face. And then you get thrown into the group, and it's kind of this weird feedback loopy kind of thing where it's like there's not a lot of people that believe it, but then social media goes out and like finds people and kind of pulls them in, and so this small thing becomes kind of a big thing because of social media. It's kind of weird, not to take away culpability from the people, but it's almost as if social media can kind of indoctrinate you a little bit. I say that as someone who kind of gets sucked into things that I don't even necessarily agree with just because you keep seeing it over and over and over again. And then you kind of have to step back and be like, wait a minute. No. I'm not that person. Like, what are we doing here? Let's freaking calm down. But you can see how like politics can get so radical. And this happens on, from a football level too. I mean, it's politics, it's football, it's human nature. You get in your bubble, you see all these things, and then you see somebody else who not only disagrees with you, but they've been sent down this other complete opposite direction where the entire world, a completely different world that they live in, even though we live in the same world, in the same country, in the same time period, it's as if we're being fed two completely different universes. And so when those two things meet, it's like, what are you talking about? Nothing you're saying is real. I don't know what you're talking about. It's a very weird phenomenon.
And I don't look at that as being a conspiracy theory. I look at that as being, YouTube and stuff like that wants clicks. So if you're interested in whatever side, whatever theory, whatever,
Sure.
you're going to get more of that. So it's going to just naturally, to get you to click on stuff, it's going to feed you more of what you're already interested in, which is going to feed the echo chamber and all that other kind of stuff. So just question everything.
Yeah, and like I said, even push you a little bit, you know what I mean? Further down that path than maybe you would have otherwise come to. I don't know, it's just weird how it does that. I'm starting to feel like that is a thing, where it kind of radicalizes you a little bit.
On to the Packers.
Yes.
I'm excited about this year because it feels like to me that we actually have less questions this year than normal year. I mean, every year there's a bunch of questions. That's just the way things go. But it seems like to me we have less questions, and even our questions are there's more upside to our questions. And what I mean by that is last year, record-wise, was a decent year. Record-wise, we won more games than the previous year,
Sure.
Yada, yada. And every one of those, well, I shouldn't say everyone, but Jordan, our quarterback, Jordan Love, is a question. Yes. But last year was kind of a down year, so the question is like, there's not that there's a better chance that he has a good season this season, but there's at least a decent chance that he has a better chance this season based on the previous year and then last year, so to speak. And then you go to the wide receivers. Wide receivers kind of had a down year last year.
Yes.
Defensive line, the entire defensive line kind of had a down year last year. Even running backs, which had a great year last year, Marshawn Lloyd didn't play. Tight ends. Tucker was great last year.
Not to mention, if I may aid here a little bit, and this is kind of part of what I wanted to talk about on a different one, so I don't want to get too far into it, but as far as the running game, I think the Packers recognize that the running backs did a good job. The offensive line, as far as the running goes, terrible job. Terrible. So in terms of, do you think the run game will improve? It's like, well, we got the same running back. True. But you can add in Marshawn Lloyd for whatever that's worth. And also, I don't know exactly how it's going to shape up, but we did add a lot to this offensive line. We have invested a ton, and it's very obvious the Packers' focus, while not neglecting pass blocking, the focus is we need some big body monsters that can aid in the run game significantly better than what we have currently. So again, we'll see how it goes, but when you look at it, I don't think it gets worse. It's possible that it stays the same, and there's also the possibility and, reason to believe that it does get better.
Sure, but Luke Musgrave hardly played at all. So it seems like while there's questions to everything, and I'm going to run up on three minutes, so I'm going to call you right back. Just a second.
Part 2, here we go.
So, continue. So it seems like a lot of our questions we don't need all of them to be answered in the positive. Normally, year after year, it's like if all these things go right, we could be really good.
Mm-hmm.
And this year, to me, it feels like we've been pretty good the last couple of years. Not good enough, but been pretty good. And of all the questions we have, defensive line, tight ends, running backs, wide receivers, quarterback, all those things, we don't need all of them to be I would love for them all to be a resounding yes, but it seems like we don't need them all to go well. A lot of these things last year didn't go that great.
Yeah, I mean, it's regression to the mean works in our favor because your quarterback was injured. Like you said, all these things were deflated. And so if you say, what if everything just kind of returns back to normal, way more things get positive than get negative.
And we still won 11 games, made the playoffs, whatever. So in my head, heck, if 50% of them, if 35% of them hit, we could have a much better season this season than we did last season.
Sure.
And not everything has to go well. Just some of the many questions have to go well. And then as I look at the other teams, yes, Detroit has the brain drain. They have a bunch of people coming back from injury. To me, that's a big question. It's great to say, hey, we got all these people coming back. Wonderful. But does that truly mean that they're all going to come back at the same level that they got injured at? I don't know about that. Seems like there's always a little bit of a transition period. I love the fact that we're getting Detroit week 1. One, because all those people coming back from injuries and stuff like that, that's their first game back. Mm-hmm. I don't think they're going to play a ton in the preseason, so we'll see how that goes. Plus, I love the fact that we just roll into week 1 with a number 1 division game. There is no excuses. There's no easing into it. There's none of that. It's just game on week 1. And I think it's a great time to get Detroit. Minnesota, J.J. McCarthy, any way you look at it is a big question mark and a huge difference on whether, how good Minnesota is. They got a good roster. No doubt about it, but that's a big question mark. And then Chicago, God love them. And I wish I tried to find it. I saw it, and then I thought, boy, this is a great thing. I'd love to spout these stats off to Ryan. And then I couldn't find it again before this call. And I don't remember the source, so it's completely useless. But they were going through, each of the four divisions, the NFC North, the 4 teams, and they're going through discussing quarterbacks. And they absolutely had Caleb as the worst quarterback in the division because
as he should be.
Bad is better than, or
exactly.
Not as good is unknown. And all the advanced stats said Caleb sucked last year.
Right.
And I love that. So that was it, Ryan. Thank you. Bye.
Man, I wish you could find that because I've been wanting somebody to say that other than me for a long time. I almost commented on that today. I had to stop because I'm trying to fight with people less, and I get sucked into these fights with Bears fans on social media, and I spend all day arguing, and then I get found by Bears social media, and it's 100-on-1, and even though I'm right and they're wrong, it doesn't matter because they're all just teaming up and thinking they're making great points, and I have to respond to every single one of them, and it's just a waste of time. It's a complete disaster, and it ends up getting personal, and then I start getting super pissed, and so I'm trying not to do that, and it's like, just say it on the podcast. You have a podcast, you can just say it on your podcast. But it was the Bears fan on social media made that exact point or was asking that exact question. Why would somebody put J.J. McCarthy ahead of Caleb? Like, what has he done to deserve that? And it's like, you're missing the point. It's not that he did something to deserve it. It's the fact that he didn't do anything, good or bad, that puts him ahead of Caleb because Caleb has been nothing but bad. And it doesn't mean that he's guaranteed to be bad forever. It just means that when a guy comes into the NFL, his odds of success go down when your entire first year sucked. Statistically, if you look at good players, right, there are going to be a portion of them that are good from year 1. And if you're not in that group, the odds that you're going to be good go down. J.J. McCarthy Yeah, he was drafted a little bit later, but I don't think that makes the difference. If he's a second-round pick, then yeah, maybe we can talk about Caleb and that second-round pick guy maybe being on kind of an even tier, maybe even still take Caleb because of his upside. McCarthy's an early first-round pick who has not shown anything, and I will take that over an early first-round pick that put in an entire year and was bad, and I don't care about the excuses, because again, there's a lot of stats that can isolate the quarterback outside of the offensive line, the wide receivers, and all that. And you can't find a metric outside of low interceptions, which is not a metric anybody has ever used ever to determine how good a quarterback is. It's not a thing. You know, we got EPA per play, we got CPOE, and we got interceptions. Nope. One of these things is not like the other. I'm sorry. And so, yeah, Bears fans are all mad about it. And look, I'm not trying to pump up J.J. McCarthy. He's a rival just like anybody else is, but it's just the way that it is. I'm going to be rooting against McCarthy like crazy. In fact, probably more so because I'm more scared of McCarthy than Caleb. For that exact reason. If McCarthy comes out and is bad for his first year, it's at least a minor sigh of relief. And I've made this point since Trubisky. I was terrified of Trubisky, and then he was bad. And then I was scared but less scared. And then he was bad again. And I was still a little scared, but significantly less scared. And it was the same with Fields. I was terrified. And then he had a bad year. So the next year, I was still scared, but less scared. That's all we're talking about here. You can still think he might be good, but if you have a higher opinion of Caleb after last year, you're just an idiot. And some Bears fans have convinced themselves, oh, look at some of the throws he made. Bro, come on. Again, I can show you great throws from Zach Wilson. I can show you great throws from Justin Fields. I can show you great throws from Anthony Richardson, who is really bad up to this point. And listen, Richardson might become a great quarterback. I don't know. But my confidence in that is through the floor because he has been awful from what we've seen so far. And again, the NFL's obsession with finding these freak athletes and overdrafting them just based on athleticism is crazy. I understand Lamar is awesome and everybody would love to have Lamar, but the amount of failed Lamars out there, guys, we have to start focusing on throwing the football, okay? There has to be some level of competence when it comes to throwing the football. Just crazy. All right, we'll take our final break. We got Daniel from California and then Kyle from Madison. We'll be right back.
You know, something that drives me a little crazy.
Grinds your gears.
The guys that are like the hardcore Aaron Rodgers guys
So,
to this day that complain about Jordan and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I think last year we were duped with our receivers a little bit, right? Like we were like, oh yeah, like do we have a bunch of ones? It's like, yeah, some of us obviously knew that wasn't true.
I was going to say, to be clear, some of us did entire episodes on how that is laughably stupid.
But, you know, we would say like, oh yeah, you know, but they're all twos
Sure.
and stuff. But just, they're not as good as we thought. I would still say like they're about the same quality as what we had in 2022. Yes, Jaden Reed probably is better than the 22, anybody on the 22 class, but still, it's like, it's not like a rock star class. But just looking at what Aaron Rodgers did in 2022 and what Jordan Love has done the last 2 years, it's like, I don't know, like we haven't gotten like worse production. Yeah, maybe grades might be better. I don't know. I thought he had bad grades in 22, but we're getting similar to slightly better production with our quarterback, and we don't have people, you know, somebody like Devontae or any of the amazing receivers Rodgers had the entire time.
Yeah.
So hopefully Golden can be something.
I hope so,
to,
man.
like,
I really do.
Receivers that we've had, so we can have some guys, you know, a top 50.
I will say, too, it's weird how kind of jaded I've become in this regard. I don't know if I'm guessing it, obviously the negative fans, and I do skew negative. But has anybody else noticed sort of this, how I guess jaded you've become at the idea that what if they become like a blue chip? Like, yeah, right, that will never happen. Bro, we had Devontae not that long ago. We've had Aaron Rodgers. Like, we've had David Bakhtiari. We've had all these different guys that have proven to be really elite players. And what, because over the last like 2 years or 3 years, nobody's like emerged as a blue chipper. We've given up hope that it's possible. It's kind of stupid, isn't it? I don't know. I mean, and it's just, I don't know. It's kind of weird where even in my mind, it's like Golden's not going to be elite. It's not going to happen. It's like, why? Why? Like, let's just see what happens. All right, can we just wait and see what happens first? I don't know. I've noticed that with myself.
Team guy, because we've always had a bunch of top 15 guys littered on our roster historically. So hopefully we can get that for Jordan, so we can actually start getting the higher end production. Jordan, like I think he's solid, man. I'm a Jordan love believer. I think that just getting him the extra help, because our offensive line's good. Like, I got no problem with our offensive line. Just
losing you here. Hello? Come on back.
And because if you see 2022 Aaron Rodgers, yes, he's old, but if you could get a better production from a young Jordan Love 2 seasons than that season of a Hall of Fame quarterback, even though he wasn't a Hall of Fame that year, like, just what could Jordan do? Jordan could get 35 touchdowns. Jordan could get 40 touchdowns. And Golden just is what we hope he is. So I'm excited. Give Kraft the ball. Give Golden the ball. Shoot, Dobbs has got the best hands on the team. Give Dobbs the ball. Throw it deep to Watson. Whatever we got to do. Go, Pack, go.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's kind of like, I think it was just TJ just in the last call, but there's every reason for optimism with the team. We just got to see what's going to happen. Some of the guys are going to disappoint. They're not going to be what we hope they are. Other guys are going to emerge that we didn't necessarily expect.
Ryan, what's up, man? Kyle from Madison.
Chip.
Well, there's still a couple weeks before we have meaningful NFL news, so your conspiracy theory snippet on the last pod is red meat I can't resist.
Okay.
I know it was a thought experiment, but I can tell you George Washington was real, because actually I can trace my ancestry to his wife.
Ooh.
So that's kind of fun.
It's random.
But
I mean, again, if depending on how much we go down the rabbit hole here, I'm sure we can find some skepticism about that process or whatever.
As far as I think the big ones, right? Moon landing. I had a buddy a couple years ago, and he was all into this. And, I'm like, you're an idiot. So he's like, no, you got to just check this out, man. So he sent me all his links to whatever kind of crap, the Reddit scientists of the world.
Mm-hmm.
So I followed the breadcrumb trail. I did the whole thing, and no, we landed on the freaking moon. The evidence that says we didn't is garbage. But here's what I will say. I came up with a theory, and I haven't heard this voiced by other people. Maybe it's mainstream. I don't know. My theory, I guess I would call it like the hoax contingency theory. I do believe the U.S. government was preparing to fake elements of that in footage, because I think the statecraft of the era, with that level of the Cold War, and the U.S. having just taken an L by not getting the first man to space, imagine if those astronauts are marooned to die on the moon. I don't think the Defense Department was willing to take that L. I think they would in that case release some footage they already filmed and then have them die on reentry as heroes. I do think there's some tangential evidence. You can't really prove it, but that does make sense to me that would have been done in that day and age. So
and again, if you get to that point, you say, well, that makes sense, which I think is fair. It's also easy to then take that next step and say, well, okay, how do we know that they didn't do that? Maybe they did go with that contingency plan. Maybe they did try and it failed and then they faked it. You know what I mean? I don't know. Again, all I'm going to say is in almost every case, what you find is people working backwards. You find people that have a natural predisposition to distrusting the government, who just so happen to find that the world is exactly as they thought it was. And I don't think that's a coincidence. There are probably some people who have been sort of converted. And again, I think that these are sort of the more trusting people, because the conspiracy theorists are very good at, like your buddy did, look at all this pile of evidence that somebody compiled, and by pile of evidence, I mean look at all the cherry-picked data, of which some of it is good, some of it is half accurate and somewhat twisted, and half of it, or some of it is just complete garbage. And those relatively trusting, not skeptical people will look at that and go, oh, wow. I mean, it's all right there. It's all laid out. Seems true to me. Well, yeah. Every conspiracy seems true if you just listen to a proponent of it lay out the complete argument with no counter-arguments. That's true of everything.
Did we land on the moon? Yeah, we did. Were they preparing?
What happened? Why is everyone getting cut off here?
Things not to go well? I think they were, actually. Anyway, you can comment on that. Hold on, I'm going to call you back.
Yep.
Somebody's at my door. Hopefully.
Well, he did call back, so it wasn't a serial killer. Again, I'm more able to talk on other things because I actually dove into it. Some things, in my opinion, are dumb enough that I will take a claim, like, okay, that's pretty damning if it's true, and then you look into it and it's like, no, that's not. It's like, okay, I'm not digging into this anymore. So I don't know. I don't want to do it. Go ahead. You continue.
Holy crap. The men in black just stopped by my house disguised as Jehovah's Witnesses. No, I'm not even kidding. They even had authentic Watchtower magazines. Wow. Man, my heart just jumped. I mean, I'm sorry, that just was so surreal what just happened there. Talking about conspiracy.
Talking about the moon landing and the government shows up.
And people in suits knock on your door 1 second later. Which, you know what, that reminds me, I'll just share something with you. Because obviously the king of all conspiracies is obviously UFOs.
Sure.
And I'll just share something quick with you. I think it's pretty interesting, especially since they're trying to suppress me. I better get this out.
That's true. Hurry up.
But
it was nice knowing you, by the way.
Was it August of 99? It was August 19th, I believe. It was a Thursday, 1999.
Wow, that's specific.
I was a college student. I was in Chippewa Valley, western Wisconsin.
Okay.
There's like no ambient light up there. You can pretty much read from the stars. And I was in a kind of a wooded clearing, stone cold sober, and I happened to look up, and this giant black isosceles triangle floats over me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this thing, I'm telling you, this thing must have been a couple 100 meters long. Totally silent, and it's in about 30 seconds, it's over the trees. I can't trace it. It's obscured. It didn't speed away, it just floated over. Totally indifferent to me. Like maybe 35, 40 miles an hour. Dude, man, you want to talk about like a 30-second moment in your life just completely rearranging your understanding of space-time? That was it. But, and when you tell people about this, they suddenly go from talking to you about, like you're a normal adult to thinking you're a moron.
Yes.
Like, bro, this is stealth bomber, man. Like, yeah, thanks, Einstein. If only I had ever witnessed an airplane up to that point.
Yeah, right.
Like, obviously, it's $1 billion government bomber flying at 40 miles an hour at midnight, 100 feet above the tree. Yeah, why didn't I think of that? Thank you.
And I can identify it, which is a major... If we know one thing about stealth bombers, it's that late at night, they're very easy to identify. You just, there goes a stealth bomber over my head again. Found it.
But if you want to really get into the weeds on that, look up the Phoenix Lights in 1997. Because all the conspiracy theorists, the people that debunk it, will say, well, why didn't one of these things land in a major metropolitan area? Yeah, bro, why don't you look that up? Because I started researching what I saw, because back then it wasn't even as widespread to talk about this stuff. So I started researching it, and I found out what I saw is called a delta in the UFO community. And I also saw that in Phoenix, leading up to that situation, that thousands of people saw these 2 years earlier. So, food for thought. I don't know who's driving it, but I don't believe if it's us that we built it. So, yeah, man. Wild.
So I found the delta you're talking about. And let me preface this before I go in on being very much and I think I'm in the minority on this one, at least it seems. I'm in no way convinced of UFOs. I don't care. Again, there's a whole bunch of speculation and a bunch of nonsense, most of which has been debunked. Again, Aaron Rodgers, what was that thing? Aaron Rodgers and, was it Pat McAfee the one time? Something in Green Bay, like, oh, there was a UFOs. It's like, bro, those are freaking spotlights. And I called it out, like, immediately, and then Clayton happened to be there. He saw this. He had, like, a video of the spotlights. He's like, oh, look, here's the UFO. You know what I mean? There's another one with, like, a balloon floating in the air, and a plane goes by it. And it's like, oh, that thing flew past us. No, you're in an airplane that's going at however fast, and it looks like the thing's moving fast in the other direction. It was a balloon. But let me preface it by saying, here's my northern Wisconsin thing. Up in the Minocqua region, on the phone with my then-girlfriend, and I'm looking up in the sky, and it must have been around the 4th of July because I see some light come up over the tree line. I'm like, oh, there goes a fire. I don't know if I said it or was just kind of like, oh, there it goes. And I'm waiting for this thing to explode, and it didn't. I'm like, oh, that's weird. So I'm just talking on the phone, whatever. I'm just kind of sitting out on the patio looking, and this thing keeps going and going. I'm like, it must be like up in the air like a plane because I thought it was just coming up over the tree line, but now it's like getting close to coming up over my head. So we must be looking, it's just a light, like a plane. So I'm like, okay, I guess it's a plane. So I keep talking and talking, whatever, and it comes to a dead stop. Just dead stop. And I'm like, okay, now I don't know what the heck is going on. And then it starts going in a different direction, like an L shape, in a different direction. Now, I don't know where we were at with drone technology at that point. I'm not sure the capability of satellites stopping dead in the sky and going in a different direction. I don't know. But that freaked me out for sure. Now, again, am I going to take the leap that some kind of an alien from another galaxy somehow traveled however many, again, with our current understanding of the distance of things and how fast you would have to like if you traveled at the speed of light, you know what I mean? Like it would take lifetimes to go from one galaxy to the next, but we have to assume that they have some kind of special technology to basically teleport to other dimensions. They found ours, escaped all of our ability to look into space and all that stuff. They came into our planet, which again, very well monitored. Nobody saw this thing happen. And then traveled to northern Wisconsin and went through the air. Nobody picked it up. None of the, the airplane, none of the military, none of that. Nobody picked it up. Nobody saw it. But I saw it, and therefore it must be an alien. I mean, when you go through it, it's stupid. I'll admit that I don't know what that was, and I'll admit it freaked me out. But to take the leap to Little Green Martian Man in a tiny little spacecraft that traveled across galaxies and then came into the Wisconsin region, escaped everybody's ability to see it, of all our military stuff and everything else, nobody saw it, nobody picked it up, and just decided to coast around, just cruising around, stopped in the sky, went in a different direction, and I guess flew home, or maybe it's still living here, or maybe it's living among us. You know what I mean? Like, I have no reason to make that leap. None. Other than if I wanted to believe it. You could come up with about 1,000 other random, ridiculous theories, and I would rather believe that, just in terms of something making the most sense. I mean, short of completely ruling it out as being impossible, we are several steps away from me getting to the point where I think it makes the most sense that these other beings are out there and have come up with this technology that is, to our understanding of how science works, impossible, are able to get here undetected, but then also be completely detected with these bright lights that shine down for whatever. What is the purpose of them having these bright lights, by the way, including your thing that had these triangle-shaped lights? Why do they have lights on them? I don't understand why they would do that. So they can see? Really? The best they can do is they traveled across galaxies, traveling through black holes, and the best they can do is get these bright halogen lights shining straight down at the Earth for all to see? I mean, if we want to get into the sort of crazy territory, I'd much rather believe it's just some governmental thing, the government's got some kind of drone. Sure, it makes more sense than a little Martian flying around. But all right, Kyle, we got one more. Carry us out of here.
Okay, what I was going to call before was Packer related or NFL related before
Sure.
my visitation by the secret police here. So you were talking about the bye and about I think it was in the context of the delay to launching like an 18th week or whatever, and you mentioned that you think they should just go right to 20 with the 2 bye weeks.
Heck yeah.
And I think that's awesome too. But I also kind of believe that the NFL, they like sequencing this stuff for engagement.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So even if they know that's the plan, I think they like trickle dripping this out.
And the only reason I say that, aside from just wanting it and thinking it'd be cool, is for negotiation. If you say, I want to add another game, period, okay, that sucks. We don't want to do that. Screw you. Okay, how about this? Let's add 2 weeks, but one of them is for me. One of them is for you. Actually, both of them are for me because there's going to be games on both weeks for me anyways. So it's 2 more weeks of football for me. But I'm going to sell it as one more for me, one for... But you're right. If they don't need to, there's a chance that they're going to play this out. But at the same time, I mean, they want the maximal revenue. So if you can sneak in 2 weeks, like right away, and that's somehow a sales pitch, and if you can do that without getting rid of a preseason, and the only reason I say that is because the NFL wants to use that as a bargaining chip to get rid of another preseason anyways. I don't know if they want to go to 21. I mean, at some point, enough is enough. So maybe they're good with it. But if you wanted to add another week, you could just say, okay, let's just swap it out. So we'll have 2 preseason, and we'll add another week. I don't know how many weeks they want to go to. I mean, at some point, even I'm kind of like, all right, we're killing these players. I mean, we're not going to have playoffs anymore because everyone's hurt. But I could see, I mean, that second week of rest is pretty massive. I mean, I think that could be massively beneficial to the NFL to rejuvenate everybody gets that early bye and a late bye. I think that could be big. I think it's beneficial for the NFL, for the players, for everybody. So let's just do it. And I don't know what the maximum that they're looking for is. If you want 20, let's just do it right now. Don't mess with the preseason. I know everybody hates it anyways, but it's another week of football, so just leave it. 3 preseason, 20 weeks of football, 2 bye weeks. And then we can leave it alone. Just my thought.
A couple seasons just to create, manufactured interest.
Sure.
But that being said, if they roll out another game and then they try to trickle drip adding a bye, it's not exactly the same excitement level. Like, ooh, we get another bye.
Right.
How exciting. But here's my question for you. Maybe you can model this in one of your robots.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm just thinking, all right, you got 20 weeks. If we say we've got a 3-week buffer at the beginning and the end of the season where you're just not allowed to get awarded a bye, because that would just be stupid, then you'd also probably have to come up with a mechanism where you're not going to get 2 byes in the same half, wouldn't you? I mean, or what is the interval in between? There'd have to be some interval where you can't get a bye, within, can you get both byes in a 3-week span? Or what are the rules there? You know what I mean? Because there'd have to be some logic. Otherwise, this could get stupid really quick. But then whatever you decide that answer is, I'm wondering if you could model this, because then we're talking from weeks 4 to 17, each team needs to get 2 byes in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then depending on whether they each get one in the first half or the second half, I guess my question is, how many teams are off every weekend then? And, depending on...
All right, yeah, let's
maybe
look at it.
Maybe this is an easy math problem and I'm just stupid.
I'm the same way. I'm not even going to try.
But I'm trying to figure out, would they go for that? Or is that just too many teams not playing twice in that span? And, how complicated...
I mean, just off the top of my head, I wouldn't think so, because you always have teams playing. You're right that there's probably going to be less at some point because you have to squeeze 2 byes in all the time. But I don't see that as a major, so what do we have? We've got 32 teams, so you got 16, and so with the byes, you generally have, instead of 16 games, you might have 14 games. If that drops down to 12, are we going to be sitting here going, dude, the NFL sucks now? You know what I mean? I don't think so. So let's see. Well, let me let you finish, and then I'll let the robots do their work. Oh, come on. Here we go again.
Usually they like to have at least 2 of your division rivals playing that weekend. Every once in a while you get like 2 division teams off the same week, but they do seem to like to have games that fans like to watch. Like I like watching the Vikings or the Bears lose, hopefully on those weekends when we're off, and I think the NFL's figured that out. So I don't know how complex the soup gets here when we're trying to game out how this would actually work, but I like the idea, and I just think you're going to have to give these guys another bye week because the attrition is just getting ridiculous.
Right, right.
And as you add more games, you're going to add more wear and tear. So just be interested in what you come up with. All right, man. Thanks.
So I did, as I mentioned before, tomorrow I'm going to record the podcast on my QB rankings. I put the rankings on Patreon as well as sort of the math behind it. For those that are interested, it's on Patreon. I might do something like this for Patreon as well. Whenever I do stuff like this, I have to remember to try to put it on Patreon because there's some really interesting information that I'm not going to sit and read during the podcast, but might be interesting for some people to kind of look at. This could be another one of those. Patreon.com/Pack_Daddy, by the way. So I had Gemini, Grok, and Claude go through it. I'm not even going to have ChatGPT do it, only because I think it's pretty well established that that's kind of running behind a little bit. They got the new one that was supposed to be out, and then they put it back. I don't know if that's because of Grok 4 kind of screwed them or what that's all about, but that should be coming soon. But it kind of did a little step-by-step solution here. Calculate games played, average games per week, blah, 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 blah. And then the conclusion down here just says total games played 272, average games per week 13.6, average buys per week 3. Didn't fully look for everything. I'm not going to read through this. There might be some other stuff in here, but that's what more or less that came up with. Let's see what Grok's got here, or Gronk, as some people call it. Expanding the NFL to 20 weeks while adding a second bye week for each team is a realistic hypothetical scenario, as the league has publicly discussed moving to an 18-game schedule up from 17 over 20 weeks total. Players like Mahomes, Burrow support it, conditional support, if it includes bye weeks for rest and recovery. So I didn't even really know that there are players willing to support this, assuming there's additional bye weeks. So I think they should just pull the freaking trigger. This would effectively give teams 18 games plus 2 byes equals 20 weeks, reducing preseason to 2 games to keep the overall calendar similar. See, I don't like that. For me, I want to push the calendar later. I want less of what we've just went through. I don't want these periods of nothing. Although I guess players want that. They want their 5 weeks off, and I guess that's fair. Whatever. So we would get 1 additional week of football. To model this, I'll assume 32 teams, 18 games, 2 byes, 1 in the quote-unquote first half, which is 4 to 10 weeks, 1 in the second half, 11 to 17. And this doesn't have to be this way. I kind of just went off of what you were saying and kind of just making some stuff up. Bye weeks must be at least 4 weeks apart. No byes in weeks 1 through 3 or 18 to 20 to avoid disrupting season start and end. Again, this could be changed. Number of byes per week must be even. Total games in the season, 288 games, averaging 14.4 per week over 20 weeks. So it kind of laid it out here. Obviously, weeks 1, 2, 3, there's nothing. Week 4, you'd have 6 byes, 13 games, elevated byes to spread rest early, which makes sense because you don't want to have the overlap. So you're kind of getting a bunch of teams in here. So 6 byes in week 5, 13 games. Then you'd have 4 and 14, 4 and 14, 4 and 14. And then week 8, they have, again, 6 byes, 13. They've, again, elevated byes mid-first half. Then you have 4 and 14, 4 and 14, 4 and 14, 4 and 14. 6 and 13, elevated byes mid-second half. 4 and 14, 4 and 14, 4 and 14. And then week 17, it would be, again, 6 and 13, elevated byes late to avoid playoff push. So the way that they kind of get around it, I guess, is you've got most weeks there's going to be 4 teams with byes and 14 games played. But to kind of prevent sort of this overlap, you've got 4 big bye weeks. You've got 1 early with 6 teams on byes in week 4. You've got week 8 with 6 teams with byes. Then you have week 13, 6 teams with byes, and week 17, 6 teams with byes. 6 weeks with 16 games, 10 with 14 games, 4 with 13 games. This keeps most weeks robust for television viewership, between 13 and 16 games every week, while distributing rest. It assigns teams to bye pairs, For example, more teams with early first half buys can pair flexibly with any second half week, while late first half buys are restricted to later second half weeks. Complications and considerations, scheduling challenges, actual NFL schedules must account for stadium availability, international games, London, holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, primetime slots. With more buys, it's easier to flex games, but harder to avoid conflicts like ensuring division rivals don't both buy in the same week if it disrupts balance. So that obviously is going to be, it's going to make it a little trickier. The puzzle is going to be more complicated. I can't imagine it's makes it impossible. Player health and union negotiations. Extra game increases injury risk, but the second bye provides more recovery time. The NFL tried 2 buys in 93, but dropped it due to uneven scheduling. So, okay. Modern versions might include a midseason universal bye week for the Pro Bowl to create a league-wide break. That's interesting. I hate it, but it's interesting. Managers would need deeper rosters to cover 2 bye weeks. Oh, for fantasy football. I don't care. It says managers would need deeper rosters to cover 2 bye weeks per player, spreading bye hell across more weeks, but reducing intensity per week. Revenue and calendar. More weeks means more TV revenue, but a longer season could overlap with basketball, baseball, playoffs, or weather issues. I think the NFL is encouraged by that. I think they're encroaching on everything on purpose. I think they like it, and I think they're just dominating everybody. And I'm as somebody who only cares about football, I kind of like that they're stepping on everyone's toes and saying, "Wait, what are you going to do about it?" Stupid. Sorry, college football. We play football on Saturday now. Sorry, baseball and basketball. We pretty much play football year round, and no one's going to watch your bullcrap sport anymore. I don't know. I appreciate that kind of stuff. Real world context, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell has called an 18-game, 20-week season a logical step with reduced preseason. Players like Mahomes are opened if it includes an extra bye, and Burrow suggests a Pro Bowl break mid. So that was Burrow's suggestion. I don't know why you would do a Pro Bowl mid-season. Who the heck would participate in that? I don't know. Joe Burrow's smoking crack. This could happen as early as 2027-28, pending CBA talks, it says. I don't really want to go through Claude's whole thing because that was pretty extensive, but I'm just curious how this would be sorted out. All right, so it kind of just goes through what would need to happen. It didn't really go through its version of how it should be done. So, kudos to Grok. I think it actually did do the best job here. And I think that's one way to go about doing it. And I do think it's doable. It mentioned the 93 thing, but I think it's also harder when you have less weeks. I don't remember how many weeks were in 1993, but it sure as heck wasn't 20. So I think there's probably more feasibility. Not to mention, I'm pretty sure the schedule makers are just AI computers right now, which they were, I'm sure, not doing in 1993. So rather than a bunch of guys smoking cigars in a room going, man, I can't figure this crap out, this is stupid, you can just have some nerd program the computer to figure it out, and it'll spit it out in 10 seconds. Assuming it's possible, which I'm guessing it is. But good question, and yeah, I think I'll probably just post this whole thing here in Patreon. So if anybody wants to check this out, I will have that up and ready for you to read. Otherwise, I'm gonna get out of here. You guys have a good rest of your night. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
They say there's little green men flying around the sky tonight with technology so advanced, but they can't turn off their lights. They crossed 1 trillion miles of space just to hover near your car, then zoom away real quickly like some cosmic superstar. Little green logic, where to go? Flying saucers putting on a show. If you're so smart and high-tech too, why's your stealth mode broken through and through? Little green logic makes no sense. All this drama for what evidence? They've mastered interstellar flight, but forgot the basics. It seems like don't get spotted by the humans while you're studying their dreams. Been visiting for decades, same old tricks, same old game. Abduct a guy named Billy, never learn his last name. Little green logic, where to go? Flying saucers putting on a show. If you're so smart and high-tech too, why's your stealth mode broken through and through? Little green logic makes no sense. All this drama for what evidence? Error. Aerial and logic malfunction. Does not teenagers, joyriding dad's spacecraft, doing donuts in the atmosphere, making humans look like daft. Or maybe it's much simpler, and Occam's razor's right. Sometimes a weather balloon is just a balloon at night. Little green logic, where to go? Flying saucers putting on a show. If you're so smart and high-tech too, why's your stealth mode broken through and through? Little green logic makes no sense. All this drama for what evidence? Logic, 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 logic.